Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place for everything related to Amazon FBA private label and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring a very special guest. His name is Eugene Sas, and he's the founder and CEO of Mad Lemon Media, which are one of the top agencies in the space when it comes to helping you design all the visual elements for your Amazon business. So I think that actually is going to allow us to, open the conversation for a very interesting topic today, which is basically what are some of the best strategies and tips right now when it comes to visual elements to ensure that you can have the best conversions and, success when it comes to selling on Amazon. So that's why, Eugene, for me, is definitely a pleasure to have you here. And yeah, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend? Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on, Vincenzo.
it's a
I'm
pleasure,
doing
man.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Excited
Thank
to
you.
get into it and talk some strategy, talk some Amazon, talk
Yeah.
some conversion and making money.
For sure, for sure. I think that's always a very interesting topic for me because I feel like when it comes to the Amazon space, people is always always thinking only around PPC and the typical strategy around how to bring the traffic, etc. But then they don't really understand that you can bring all the traffic that you want in the world, but if you don't really do the first the cleanup on your house and really make sure that the traffic is gonna land, is gonna convert, all that effort and money is gonna go to waste. So super important to make sure that your visual elements are on top notch, and that's I think the number one thing that I feel people is gonna get out of this episode are the tips and what things are doing to succeed on that department.
Exactly.
However, before we jump into that, which I do this with all my guests, and I feel this is something that I like to always provide to my community, and definitely people learn a lot from that, is the journey of our guests, because we all as entrepreneurs have very interesting lessons that we went through to really reach where we are right now. And it would be nice to learn more about you and how you jump into the e-commerce space, and then from there how you founded your agency, Mad Lemon Media. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, man, Amazon was a saving grace for me, to be honest. My family immigrated from Ukraine to the United States, and they had nothing, so they were working their way up,
Mm,
trying to survive in a new country, learn the language, get educated, get good
yeah.
jobs, and I think that path created the only pathway for me of how to succeed in this country, which is go to
Yeah.
school, get a degree, get a career, get a good job, and you'll be stable and safe. And I did do that. I went to university, got a degree in finance, went into
Hmm.
corporate, started working in large banking industry in Wall Street. And man, I didn't feel a thing for it. I just
Yeah.
went through it and I didn't feel anything. And I looked at my boss. I said, I don't want to be this person in
Yeah.
20, 30 years. Right away, I just got stressed. I almost had a panic attack in the subway.
Hmm.
I was like, my God, what am I doing with my life?
Hmm.
And I had friends that were doing extremely well on Amazon.
Mm.
One of them started a pet supplement, ended up, exiting within 2 years for 2 million.
Wow.
And I looked at him. I'm like, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So I started learning. He took me under his wing, started learning the Amazon game. This was late 2016. And right away, first product went out with a custom mold. It was a kitchen gadget, like a watermelon slicer. Right away, started selling thousands of units, and then went kind of pivoted the branding from kitchen into sports and outdoors. Started selling winter sports gear for skiers, snowboarders that helps them transport their gear, and we just went off with that brand. And we're doing just under 4 million annual right now. uh,
Nice.
about to have our first exit as well. So it's very exciting. And
Wow.
during that journey, that led me to found this media agency. We had a really good creative team. We felt that high end premium graphics, high end premium video. This was one of the ways that we would set ourselves apart from our competition. And so we had a team that was doing these things for us internally. And the natural progression for us was to start offering these services to other sellers as well. So that's how the media agency came about. And the third thing on my plate, which also keeps me very busy, is I am also a mastermind leader for a e-learning organization called Private Label Mastery. So we have a lot of students pushing into 6 and 7 figures, and just sharing my expertise and knowledge there. So that's
Nice.
that's been the journey, man.
Yeah.
It's
What a
been
journey.
7 years, and it's been incredible. I mean, during
Yeah.
that time, was able to quit my corporate job. My wife was able to quit her corporate job. We traveled for 4 years. I mean, I couldn't have written
Yeah.
the dream any better.
Wow, love it, love
Yeah,
it. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that. Yeah, I
yep,
think it's very interesting how, with you first went to the struggle and then you identify that you really didn't want that for your life, and it's nice to see how you pivoted from that, because the
yep,
reality is most people, that's where they struggle with, like doing that pivoting and really finding something that you're passionate about. And it definitely seems like Amazon is something that I feel like you're finding your comfort, which is very nice. And I mean, the success is speaking by itself. I mean, you already
yep,
have this amazing brand and the agency, and I find it very interesting as well how, I'm pretty sure that when you jump into the agency, now you're using all the knowledge that you went through as a brand owner, all the mistakes, all the things that you do, and now that's why your clients, I'm pretty sure, are benefiting from that all those years
exactly,
that you're grind basically.
exactly, exactly.
Now, let's start talking a little bit about your experience when it comes to the visual elements when it comes to selling Amazon, because as I just said at the very beginning, and as you just briefly mentioned, I think something that can definitely make you stand apart from the competition is to really have very beautiful, like visuals, like images that really pop up, things that are really unique, like the lighting, the colors, the way you position the product on the image and videos. And I feel a lot of people realistically in the Amazon space, they are struggling with that, because most of them, you know when they're launching the product, the first thing that they want to do is be very conservative sometimes with expenses, and they feel like images is a place where you can save the most by just using the supplier images or using images from Canvas or etc. And I feel that's the number one mistake that is actually the most costly, because as I just say, I mean, you can send all the traffic that you want, you can have the Kardashians advertising your product, but if the listing is really not connecting with the client at a visual level, your conversion are going to be through the floor. And we both know that, conversions on Amazon are king for organic
Exactly.
ranking and success. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. You're absolutely right about that, and I understand it from the perspective of
Yeah.
someone starting in the
Yeah.
Amazon space as well, because I work with students every day. So
Hmm.
I see that mentality, and that's you're looking for something called the QPR. It's the quality to price ratio, right? So you're
Hmm.
looking for the best quality for the lowest price, because
Yeah.
again, it is a new business venture. You are still testing the waters. You are still skeptical. You are still hesitant, and that's okay. And you need to it, obviously go into Fiverr, right? Fiverr is kind of the wild freelance space. You don't know
Yeah,
what you're going to
gambling.
get. You're
Yeah.
gambling. But then working with agencies could also be up there in price. So how is it that you find the middle ground? And it takes a lot of digging. It takes a lot of searching to
Hmm.
find that proper fit for you. But like you said, it's important. The visuals are important. When people are shopping on Amazon, you have to activate their senses, right? They can
Yes.
only use their eyes. They can't touch the product, they can't smell the product, they can't hear the product. So
Hmm.
your only way to communicate the qualities and the experience that they're going to have is through the visuals.
Yes.
So, people talk, like you said, talk about PPC, right? Your PPC is underperforming. Well, did you diagnose your listing?
Hmm.
Right? Data is sexy, but you can, get a beautiful model to show your product in use, show your customer avatar using the product in use, and that could change the entire script of your business.
Yes, for
Right?
sure, for sure. I think, I see that mistake so many times. Like people, when they're struggling in the Amazon space, they feel the only solution is really on the PPC. They think, oh, you're gonna find that gold nugget keyword that's gonna fix your business. That maybe you need to use all the tools in the world and everything. And when you actually go in depth on the reports, the issue is just the conversion. I mean, you have the issue in front of you, but because you don't want to take the time and the money to actually fix that,
Yeah.
you already got the fast route, which is just trying to throw more money on specific keywords and hope somehow
Yeah.
the conversion improves. Now,
Exactly.
let's talk about, let's start with the main image. I feel the main image is a game changer, most of the
Yep.
time, at least in the ones that's going to contribute the biggest jump in conversions, because that's the first thing people see when they're shopping for a product and put a specific
Yep.
keyword. So I feel with the main keyword, that's the thing that you can split test a lot, and you can do a lot of clever things to incentivize that click. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the things you are seeing working the best right now when it comes to tricks with the main image? Would you say it's like something to do with the angles, the colors, the sizing inside the picture? What have you seen giving the best conversions? Yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, you're trying to improve your click
Mm-hmm.
through rate. A lot of companies can win right on the click through rate. For example, there's a company called Zesty Paws, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe, were one of the largest exits on Amazon. It was a $600 million
Mm-hmm.
exit. The premise of why that company was doing so well is because they won on the click. They
Mm.
basically had this very vibrant orange packaging with very large, bold text on the actual product. You didn't even need to read the title to understand what the product is.
It
You were
was
able to
interrupted,
tell.
basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Pattern interrupt
Mm-hmm.
your and again, the product itself, the product packaging itself communicated what the product was. The
Mm-hmm.
customer, the shopper didn't even need to look at the title to know what it is. So their
Mm.
click-through rate was so high. So then obviously the rest of the listing was beautiful as well, which is where the
Yep.
conversion happened. But people underestimate, getting the actual click, how much that could do for your business as well. I
Yeah.
mean, from our perspective, when we're looking at the main image or we're working with a client, we're looking to see what the competition is doing.
Mm.
A lot of times, we'll tiptoe the line of TOS on the main image. We'll still
Mm-hmm.
have a primarily white background. We're not going to put a lifestyle image with a
Yeah.
full color scene. But if I'm noticing that the customers are showing only the product in their image, well, I'm going to experiment and split test, like you said, split testing being a very important variable here. Maybe a hand model holding the
Mm.
product, maybe the product on a full size model. But again, you're cutting out the image with the white background, but you're
Yeah.
showing it in a different angle, right? So if everyone's just showing the product, but then you're showing it in a lifestyle type of format, um, maybe your click through rate goes up. But that
Yeah.
also comes down to split testing. For most of our clients, we provide 2, 3 main images because
Nice.
we're not just going to give you one. We want you to have the ability to test and make sure that you're getting the highest click through rate possible.
For sure, for sure. I think split testing is such a powerful thing, and even Amazon now make it so easy because you can submit two images, and Amazon just randomize between both, and they give you the data. I don't really
Exactly.
understand why people is not really doing that.
Right.
And on that note, when it comes to split testing, would you say this is something, if from your experience, with working visuals, is this something you should be doing constantly? And what I mean by this, every 6 months, every year, or is something that realistically happens a lot at the beginning, but then you reach a point that you slow down with split testing? What's really your experience with them?
Yeah, so it depends on the amount of volume that you're getting on your product as well, right? Because you
Mm.
need a good sample size to make the proper decision. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the beginning when you just launch your product, you're not getting the same volume of
Yeah.
traffic to make that decision accurately.
Mm-hmm.
But once your product has more reviews, right, social proof is no longer the factor for why you're converting or not. Then you have a little bit more of a direct test on some of these other visual elements.
Mm.
So, because of course reviews also impact click through rate, as does your price, right? So you need to
Yes.
keep things uniform in order to get proper data on something like testing your main image. But for sellers that are established, I mean, I think you're potentially leaving money on the table, right? Maybe you launched your product 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and you haven't changed it or tested it since then.
Yeah.
You may be leaving money on the table,
Yeah.
right? If you can
I
improve
know.
your conversion rate by 2%,
It's
from
huge.
7.5 to 9, yeah, from 7.5 to 9.5%, like we just did for one of our clients, it's a 26% lift at a $25 product. That's, just for the purpose of an example, that does 100K annualized. You could be adding $26,000 on an annualized basis just by improving your conversion
Yeah.
rate. And we
In
see it all
fact,
the time.
yeah, me too. That's the thing I was gonna add. We see these things so many times when you find these pros and brands that realistically some of them they were just lucky. They started in 2014, 15, and they just had the right timing, but they don't really have the. I mean, when you go on their listing, they have a very basic listing, not nice images. It's just that because they started so long ago and they got that organic ranking really dialed down, and they have the history. That's why they keep making a lot of sales and reviews. But yeah, they haven't changed the image at all. But when you see their history, they have the same image for 5, 6 years, and it's crazy because if you're
Mhm.
really doing so well and you're dominating the market with such a bad listing, imagine if you put the effort and actually optimize it. It's crazy that some people don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
They
you
just
could
get
have
comfortable. Yeah.
yeah, of course, and you could be having just an incremental decline in market share, right? You're still happy
Mm-hmm.
with your profits, but um, sellers are becoming more sophisticated because competition and saturation is
Mm-hmm.
in the market already, right? This isn't 2013,
Yeah,
2014. This is a different playing field, and so many rules have changed for launching, for everything. So
for
now
sure.
we're being forced to raise our standards to compete.
Mm.
And people that have gotten stale, there's going to be someone that's you have a target on your back,
They're
essentially,
gonna take your
right?
pie.
They
Yeah.
want a piece of your pie.
For sure.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk also around the rest of the images, because I also feel that, of course, my image is king, but I also feel like the way you structure the rest of the images can also be very powerful, especially if we are strategic with the order of the images, the storytelling you starts giving from image 2 to image 6 or 7. So tell me a little bit about what are the things you also been working the best in terms of how this basically, yeah, road, basically the road of a customer to your listing. How should this road be for them? Like, what is usually the second image, what is usually the third image, and what kind of balance between infographics and plain images you should have based on your
Hmm.
experience? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love infographics. To just back it up for a second, the first important thing to do is to truly understand your customer, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
customer avatar. So with tools like ChatGPT now, you can pull up full demographic and psychographic profiles on your target customer. You could literally tell the software that it's a market researcher working for a specific industry and selling this specific product, and you want it to give you a table of information that has demographics
Mm-hmm.
and different customer avatar profiles. So once you've established that, you can then go validate that in Facebook niche groups, see what kind of people are communicating. You can share your product in these groups and see what people think about it, and just take a qualitative note of, does it align with what you found in ChatGPT. Now, if you're an established seller, you probably have some brand analytics data. You can have some additional data around gender, age that could drive some of the imagery and avatar that you present in your images. And once you have that information, that's step one, because we need to be speaking directly to that person, um,
Mm-hmm.
and not to a broad market. Because when that
Mm-hmm.
prospective shopper feels that product is specifically for them, that's when your CVR starts to go up.
Yeah.
So step one. Then the second element is your unique selling proposition. What can you say about your product that it has that the competition does not? When you have that down packed, that's your competitive advantage as well, right? If you're selling the same thing as someone else, of course you can differentiate yourself with high
Mm-hmm.
quality imagery.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have that main unique benefit, that's definitely going to be in your title, your bullets, your
Mm-hmm.
probably in I like to put it as the second image, because I want to make sure that the customer doesn't miss for a second
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
what is the key differentiator of my product.
Yes.
So second image USP. Then I like to do an image that has the product as a focal point. We just have, if you can visualize, several lines pointing at the product at its different features, but you'll always combine it with a benefit. The feature being just the physical aspect of the product, the benefit being what is the psychological benefit that it does for me? What pain point does it solve for me? What dreams does it help me achieve?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what fears does it solve? Right. So you're trying to also position the infographics and the text inside of the infographics in a way that speaks to the psychology of that customer avatar that you established. So I like to do a kind of a combo infographic there, and then of
Mm-hmm.
course different lifestyle images, comparison charts always.
Yeah, that's
In
super good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
pro tip in a comparison chart, if you have a unique selling proposition, usually you line up the
Yeah, the
three
difference.
products.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So on your unique selling proposition, don't just put a regular check mark. Like if it's check, 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 on the different features, benefits, make it a different icon so that you capture the eyeball of the customer, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
calling out again that unique selling proposition.
Like maybe
because
a
the
star,
customer.
a triangle, whatever, something catchy. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Something that's different than a check mark because it'll catch the attention. They're going to read it, be like, okay, this is this product has this. Again, Amazon is a comparison shopping platform, right?
Yeah,
People are not just going to your product and buying it right away.
yeah,
Of course, there
yeah,
are impulse purchases,
yeah.
usually in the $30 range, but
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're selling something a little bit more expensive
Expensive.
where people or a little more technical,
Yeah.
you need to really dial in
Mm-hmm.
on the key differentiators. So we're
Yes,
doing, really focusing
for
on that
sure,
as well.
for sure. I think yes, something that I find very important when it comes to why people should be focusing a lot on into how you structure the images, because right now if you go to your app on the phone, the images sometimes even appear before the description, in some instances. So
Hmm.
it's like they're pushing so much visual content. And
Right.
the reality, I mean, even myself, most of the time when I buy something, I don't really have time to read the bullet point description. I feel we're reaching a point where bullet point description, of course, are important, but they are more for SEO purposes more than actual conversion. The conversion really happens on what the person see with their eyes, right? It's the same feeling when
Yes.
they go to a shop, right? So
Yes, exactly.
super important to really understand your client because of that. Because if you're just putting typical uh, cookie cutter images, like images, stock images, same people that you have seen other generic images, and not really
Right.
having the avatar of the person or the activity or the actual even action that connects with the person, you're gonna not really build that emotional link that is
Right.
really what people is looking to say, okay, that person is me, he's going through the same thing than me, and that's what the product can actually help me fix whatever I'm looking for as a
Exactly.
solution. Super important.
Exactly.
Um, Now, when it comes to building these images, I think another thing that people struggle a lot is to really understand what to put on the images, because when you need to, even when I bet when they need to hire you, you need some kind of information what you want me to put on the images, like what information, everything. And people sometimes struggle. They don't know how to put the text, or what really to how to structure it. And the reason why I mentioned this is because I wanted to ask you, is there some advice you maybe can recommend around this? Because I feel from my experience, the best thing really you can do is just look at what the top sellers are doing, do a comparison of all the media images, and then do a summary from there. I don't know if you recommend something similar, and what is your take on that? Yeah.
Yeah, partially yes. We're definitely doing competitor research, but we don't necessarily want to just do exactly what they're doing. You want
Okay.
to take in maybe the general structure potentially because it is
Inspiration,
the,
basically.
yeah, inspiration. But um, in my opinion, people are just a lot of sellers, especially big brands, are not putting in the time and effort into their products, into their
Mm,
images. There's just a
yeah.
higher standard of aesthetics that you can apply to your images, to your infographics, to your A plus premium, A plus
Mhm.
content that will act as a differentiator in itself. A lot of times when I'm doing market research, I'll just look at listing quality as just one of the criteria of checkboxes, just to of
Mhm.
whether it's a green light market to go into. Even if it's a big brand, if they only have 3 images of just their product, they're not communicating customer avatar and not communicating key benefits. They're missing out. So again, in terms of structure and what to put into your images, it's you don't want to keep it too text heavy. If there are some technical aspects that require some
Mhm.
further explanation, then maybe it does. Um, it does justify putting a little bit of additional text. But like you said, you're scanning, you're skimming the information. You want to take in the key psychological triggers, right? So again, you're thinking about the deep psychology of the shopper. What is their true motivation for buying this product? Does it make them look better? Does it help them do something
Mhm.
faster? Does it, again, solve their pain point? Does it um, like what does it do for their life, right? What kind
Mhm.
of transformation is the customer going to achieve by
Yeah. The change
incorporating
you're
your
bringing
product?
to their life. Yeah,
You're
basically.
not you're
Mhm.
not selling a product, you're selling a result, right? So when
Mhm.
you get into that mentality, it starts to build out your images because the text and the structure is geared towards hitting those psychological triggers. right? So the unique selling proposition, sure, maybe you added a certain feature to your product, but you're communicating, it will help you sleep better at night, right? Which is
Yeah.
the thing that they're trying to solve for example,
Yeah.
with a comfortable pillow, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of focus on the psychological side when you're
Yeah.
building this out. In terms
Central.
of yep. And then in terms of how it's laid out, I mean, you can have um, a slide dedicated directly to your USP, a slide
Mm-hmm.
dedicated to feature benefit callouts, where you just have several lines pointing at the product, calling feature
Mm-hmm.
benefit. Then, a lifestyle image with maybe 4 or 5 words, again, calling out another benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Comparison chart, always have a comparison chart. And
Mm-hmm.
then you can add another lifestyle image of showing the product in use in another scene. So you can
Nice.
kind of lay it out in that way. And then, hopefully you're getting to a place where you're also incorporating video into your listing, because that's always powerful, and it's an important creative asset that you can use in your advertising, sponsored brand campaigns, apart from
Mm-hmm.
just improving conversion rate on your listing.
Yeah.
So whenever we do video work, it's usually a 1 to 3 minute
Yeah, I
product
wanted to
lifestyle
actually ask you
scene.
about that video because I know we get a lot of questions like, how should I do my video? How long? How everything? So it would be nice if you can tell us also what are some of the
Yep.
things you are doing with your clients. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So there's different video types as well, right? You
Mm-hmm.
could do if you're on a very tight budget, you could just do a product slideshow. At least
Mm-hmm.
do that, right? If you're operating on a tight
Better
budget,
than
just
nothing.
better than nothing. Hopefully you have good imagery. You can
Yeah.
get some stock footage,
Yeah.
incorporate your photos. Again, you're communicating your benefits, your psychological triggers.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than nothing. Then the next step would be in studio product demos. Those
Mm-hmm.
could be really engaging as well, high energy. They could again show the product in action, really
Yeah.
getting into its features, really getting into its benefits in a studio setting. And then the most premium, and the work that we love to do the most, is our lifestyle work, where
Mm-hmm.
we find a model, we set a
Yeah.
scene, we
Yeah.
follow that model through that day, we show how the product is the focal point of their life through their day. We've done coffee products, for example. A couple wakes
Mm-hmm.
up in the morning
Mm-hmm.
together. They brush
Yeah.
their teeth. The husband
Yeah.
makes the wife a cup of coffee. She takes it into a tumbler. She goes out on her day.
Yeah.
She goes shopping. She goes to work.
So you
The
can really relate and connect to that the scene and everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're setting the scene, and it's very powerful. It's very powerful. And the majority of your competitors are not doing this. So again, we're looking for areas to build advantages so that our probability of success goes up.
Yeah.
There is no guarantees in entrepreneurship, but you
You
can
need to
you
try
can
at
you
least.
can behave. Yeah, you can behave in certain ways that improves your probability.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That it is basically the same that you make your own luck, right? Of course, it's a mathematical thing. Of course, nobody can guarantee you anything, but the more times you show up, the more time you're gonna have the probability that luck meets with you and you actually achieve
Yeah.
whatever you want to achieve. So it
Yeah.
is what it is. So
Yeah.
now the other thing I want to briefly touch so we can start concluding today's episode is the A plus content because I see a big mistake as well when it comes to A plus content that people just use the same thing they did on the image, they just copy it to the A plus content. I feel realistically A plus content should be more like a brand telling.
Mhm.
It's more brand focused, right? Than the images are more product focused. And I wanted to also hear your take on this. Like, what are some of the advice you also recommend around the A plus content, and also even the premium A plus content that now is out there that some brands can do? Yeah.
Yeah. So A plus content, um, personally, we don't use a lot of the modules that Amazon provides to us because we love a very cohesive design that flows, right?
Yeah.
I'm using A plus content another driver of conversion,
Nice.
and that's again, like you said, brand building. So
Mm-hmm.
again, touching on the USP, always
Mm-hmm.
touching the USP. If the USP everywhere, like I
Yeah.
said, title, bullets, main images, A plus, video,
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. Client is not missing it. A plus premium has been very interesting. It's a little bit more dynamic. It fits into the visual side of how we like to do things. So we're not using big text blocks.
Yeah.
Again, Amazon has these more generic modules that are available where you can put big blocks of text. Unless you're
Mm-hmm.
selling a more expensive, highly technical item, nobody's spending the time to read all
Yeah.
of that information.
Yeah, for
So it's
sure.
again, yeah, I'll keep repeating myself: psychological triggers, brand building, story building, building rapport with the customer, and highly engaging visuals and beautiful graphics that fit the tone and branding that your customer avatar is attracted to.
Nice.
So without showing you some examples, that's the explanation that I'll give. But
Yeah, for sure. It's very
also
valuable.
doing podcasts like this, right? All I want to do is show you guys so many examples, but
Yes,
structurally and
I can imagine.
logically, that's the structure. Yeah,
Good, good. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's awesome. Thank you very much for all the knowledge you share with us. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, as you say, when it comes to everything around visual elements in the Amazon space, we can be talking for hours and hours. There are so
yeah,
many little things that you can do around an image and video. But I feel the foundation is, the basics that we just discussed. And at the same time, even in the same basics, a lot of people are not doing it. So that's why we need to
right,
keep repeating them and pointing out that these are the things that really can make you stand out of the crowd, because now more than ever in Amazon, like, you really need to do things outside the box to be different, right? And only try to compete with price and trying to beat the most on a keyword, which again is just gonna drive you
exactly.
through the
Yeah,
floor, right? But yeah, man, I think it's been a pleasure to have you on board. Thank you very much for being here. I think before we
thank you.
conclude, I want to, give you a couple of minutes so you can tell us where people can find you, in
Sure.
case they have any questions about, how to implement everything you just discussed, and also if they want to hire your services. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and Facebook these days, so you could just find me, Eugene Sas, on Facebook, LinkedIn. And in terms of our agency, we have Instagram, Mad Lemon Media, and our website, madlemonmedia.com. Happy to chat and do a strategy call about your brand. In terms of people having a hard time knowing where to
Mm.
start, we're also working on a huge, I call it my ginormous internal swipe file. We're going to have 500 to 1,000 product examples of every creative asset type, A plus, main images,
Yeah.
infographics. So we're going to break it down, and we'll be sharing that as soon as it's ready to go.
Awesome. Yeah. Happy to
Yeah.
also share to the community once it's right. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's
Awesome.
been a pleasure, man, and looking forward to have you in the next one. Yeah. Have a nice day,
Thank
man.
you, Vincenzo. It was a pleasure.
See you,
Take
man.
care.
Bye bye. Thank you.